Hello everybody, it's Mike Young and Denise Young. We're out for our walk again, our daily walk to get 12,000 steps, which you should be getting too. Daily vigorous aerobic exercise. And we're talking about salt because Denise, for some reason, tends to have lower blood pressure. And some people like you may have lower blood pressure too, but that's not normal. Almost everybody has too high of a blood pressure. So sodium is a massive problem, way too much sodium in the diet. Added salt is the problem. Not the salt that naturally occurs in plants. Just don't add any, but every prepared food has tons of added sodium, it seems like. But what if your blood pressure's low and you need to raise it? So this is what this article is about. Denise is gonna read.
Is it a good idea to add salt to your diet if you have chronically low blood pressure? Salt, or sodium chloride, is an essential mineral for human health, although consuming too much can negatively affect blood pressure. Sodium intake above 2,000 milligrams per day is associated with high blood pressure.
Okay, and let's mention, actually I would say the maximum is 1,500 milligrams a day, maximum, okay? And everybody's over that. This is the issue.
Which is associated with high blood pressure, which is a risk factor for kidney disease and cardiovascular disease, such as heart disease and stroke. However, some people with chronically low blood pressure may be advised to increase their salt intake to help raise their blood pressure.
Okay, did you know about kidney disease being caused by high blood pressure? I didn't know.
By too much sodium?
Right.
Well, blood pressure, kidney disease.
Yeah. Did you know that? I mean, I just didn't. We had ChatGTP put this article together like we always do. So I just didn't know that.
My grandmother had kidney disease and she had high blood pressure, but I think that's all just from eating a high-fat diet, which led to her diabetes.
But also, animal products tend to have lots of salt, like think bacon, right?
Yeah.
High fat and high salt.
That's
so maybe,
added.
yes, and that's what this article is talking about. So I just keep that in mind. That's all. That kidney disease may also not only be from animal proteins and high fat, but also high sodium.
Yeah. Low blood pressure or hypotension can cause symptoms such as dizziness, fatigue, and fainting. I've fainted before in job interviews.
Really?
Wineries. Just sitting at home in my chair.
I mean,
stand up
but do you continuously monitor your blood pressure so you're actually certain that the fainting was a result of having blood pressure that was too low? I don't think you have been, so you're just kind of guessing, right?
Yeah, but that's what happens when you faint.
Well, it doesn't. Just because you faint doesn't mean that your blood pressure is too low. It could mean you could be fainting for some other reason. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe. But usually when that happens, my pulse feels faint. In some cases, increasing salt can help raise blood pressure and alleviate these symptoms. That's from Healthline. However, it's important to note that this recommendation is not applicable to everyone with low blood pressure and should only be followed under the guidance of a healthcare professional. What are the dangers and negative health issues of adding salt and consuming it? While salt is essential for human health, consuming too much can lead to negative health effects. Most Americans consume at least 1.5 teaspoons of salt per day, or about 3,400 milligrams of sodium, which contains far more than our bodies need.
Way more, yeah. You only need like, I don't know, less than 1,000. And then you're getting like 3 times as much as what you need.
Consuming too much salt can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. It can also cause calcium losses, some of which may be pulled from bone.
That's another thing. Okay, so keep this in mind. Even if your blood pressure is low, because that's the subject of this article, if you're going to try to raise it by adding sodium, you risk injuring your kidneys. You risk leaching calcium from your body.
Your bones.
Your bones, okay. And what's the other one? I'll remember it in a minute.
Heart disease.
Heart disease, okay.
It can also, a high level of salt intake increases the amount of calcium excreted in the urine, which may also contribute to osteoporosis and increased risk of fracture. How does added salt cause blood pressure to rise? When we consume salt, our bodies retain water to maintain a balance of electrolytes. This can cause an increase in blood volume, which in turn increases blood pressure.
Okay, also let's also mention something else. If you're going to eat more salt than you absolutely need, you're going to be weighing too much too, because water weighs something, okay? So you're going to be carrying around extra weight in addition to all this. So don't think that, because I know that this is one of the reasons why I went to put this article together, like, oh, I can have salt because I got low. No, because you have all these other negative side effects that nobody wants. So there's got to be a better way, actually, to raise blood pressure, I would think. We need to look into this more.
Well, it causes you to gain water weight, not weight and fat.
But weight is, as we've discussed in previous videos, the number one reason for knee, hip, and foot problems, because the pressure on these joints rises exponentially when you start to weigh too much.
Yeah, exponentially by about 7 times. So if I gain an extra pound of water, I'm adding 7 pounds of stress.
You don't even want to carry this water bottle that we have, okay? Just think about this for a minute, okay? So you don't want any extra weight. I mean, you know.
I just like my hands free for reading, so I can switch from one hand to the other and not have to worry about water bottles. How does salt cause humans to retain water? Salt is an electrolyte, and our bodies need a balance of electrolytes to function properly. When we consume too much salt, our bodies retain water to maintain this balance. It can cause an increase in blood volume, which in turn increases blood pressure. Okay,
so that's automatic. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's why, like I talked about in previous videos, people who run long distance runs, like 50, 100-mile runs, they'll take sodium pills. And that's, why? Because you're going to hold on the water. You're not going to get dehydrated. You're in a ridiculously long run like that, you're going to have what's needed. But in regular human life, you don't want any of that. You don't want any kind of holding of water like that, right?
Yeah. Bloating,
basically, I guess is another word for it.
What damage does ingesting crushed rocks do? And
this is what ChatGPT put together for the article. In the previous articles that we've read, we talk about how there's 2 forms of sodium. There's sodium in the plant, which is bioavailable, which is attached to nutrients and fiber and water. And then there's the crushed rock version, which is every other version, which is added salt, which is from the mineral version of, it's mined, okay? Or it's broken down in sea foam, which is the same thing broken down. I don't think that ChatGPT understood this, but I left it there anyway. We'll read it.
No. And how is it not bioavailable? Salt is a mineral that is found in rocks and soil. However, the salt we consume is not the same as the salt found in rocks. Table salt is heavily processed and contains additives.
Yes.
Yeah, so, Mike always says we're eating crushed rocks.
Well, we are. No, go back. Go listen to that. They're saying it's not the same because it's heavily processed. So basically what you're eating when you're eating added salt, because it doesn't say here, I'll say take it one step further, is processed crushed rocks. All right? It's not just regular crushed rocks. It's highly processed crushed rocks.
It contains additives such as anti-caking agents to prevent
that
clumping.
too. And another reason why you don't want to eat it, because it's a processed form, a heavily processed form of crushed rock. I didn't even know that. I thought it was just salt and minerals or whatever. Pink salt has pink color and more minerals, but now you got chemicals dumped in there too. I didn't even know that.
Ingesting crushed rocks can cause damage to the teeth and digestive system. I think it's talking about literally picking up gravel.
Yes, I know. I didn't specify. I'm just saying this is why it doesn't. You have to be very specific about your exact request that you give it, because otherwise, that's why I'm the interpreter here. Oh yes, don't ever eat rocks. Let me rephrase that. Don't ever eat rocks of any kind unless they're completely crushed and highly processed with added chemicals to prevent caking.
Well, you don't know if they're chemicals. When you put a grain of rice into a salt shaker, that rice will absorb the moisture in the salt so that it doesn't cake. So don't jump to the conclusion that it's chemical.
An anti-caking agent, like it says, ChatGPT says.
Yeah, like rice.
Okay.
And the minerals,
it fixes iPhones, right? Dumping it in rice.
Can we get back to the article? And the minerals in rocks are not bioavailable, meaning
Okay, I agree with
that
this.
they cannot be easily absorbed and used by the body.
That's true. That's why it's always better to get your salt from the plant directly, not from added.
Is eating lots of celery that's naturally high
Celery.
in bioavailable sodium a better alternative? Celery is a good source of potassium, which can help counteract the negative effects of sodium on blood pressure. However, while celery is naturally high in
Celery,
sodium,
right? Or
yes.
you keep saying salary. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, celery.
Okay.
Celery is naturally high in sodium. It is not a significant source of sodium in the diet. In fact, a large stalk of celery contains only about 35 milligrams of sodium.
A large stalk, man. You're gonna be eating so if you eat plants, you're never gonna OD on sodium.
No.
Even when you eat the sodium high celery.
While incorporating celery into your diet can be a healthy choice, it is not a substitute for reducing salt intake if you have high blood pressure or other health concerns related to sodium intake. In conclusion, while some people with chronically low blood pressure may be advised to increase their salt intake, consuming too much salt can lead to negative health effects such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke.
And kidney issues.
It is important to follow the guidance of a healthcare professional
And
to be mindful of your salt intake. Incorporating potassium-rich foods such as celery into your diet can be a healthy choice, but it is not a substitute for reducing salt intake if you have high blood pressure or other health concerns related to sodium intake. End of article.
All right, so do you have any special takeaways from this? Because I think it needs more follow-up.
No.
No. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm concerned from listening to this article about kidney problems from having too much salt, about cardiovascular problems, about weight gain problems, and their associated issues with hip, knee, and foot problems.
Water weight is temporary.
Not if you're eating extra salt all the time because your blood pressure's low. That's what I'm saying. It's permanent. And that's the problem. Actually, the average person has way too high blood pressure. In addition to that, the average person has way too much weight in addition to that. So I'm not going to recommend this for anybody. Personally, I want to look into this and find out other ways to raise blood pressure if you truly have low blood pressure, which is, this is like a gift that you have, Denise, because really almost nobody has this problem. But I just don't think that's adding salt is the way to counteract. That's all. I think there's better ways.
I don't add it to counteract my low blood pressure. I add it because I like it.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, well, that's because people are addicted.
I
That's
add
another
about
story.
one packet a day. That's
Yeah.
500 milligrams.
You're familiar with packets. I don't even use packets of anything. Anybody uses packets? Well, we can make a video on packets too.
Salt packets?
Packet switching is okay on the internet, but aside of that, no. All right, so thank you for watching. Be sure to comment below, give us a like, and please subscribe as well. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.